What do you do when you've got a box office smash hit on your hands and you need to come up with a sequel? That's exactly the conundrum Land Rover had when they had to replace the Range Rover Evoque.
Well, Batch, if you are the king of the castle, you may well take an if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach, which is exactly what they've done.
It still turns heads. You travel in comfort.
Sitting in the passenger seat is just really comfortable, feels very refined.
And it lives up to its Land Rover heritage. In this review, we're going to see what's new, we'll take it off-road and on-road, and find out exactly what's changed from the old one.
But before we start telling you all about the brand new Evoque, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you click on the little bell icon, you'll get a notification when our latest video has landed.
And make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where you can bore yourself to tears with Ginny's Instagram stories.
You're so cheeky, stop it. He loves my stories.
That wasn't in the script.
Particularly when he's in them.
Right then, let's get cracking. What has actually changed?
The design is all new and it's definitely more minimal, it looks sleeker, with lots of nice touches that you will also find on Velar, like the pop-out handles, the headlights, and also the front grille. Plus something I really like, particularly on this model, are just the little copper accents that pick out the detailing. I have a big thing for copper.
It sort of reminds me of when you've been on a diet and you look at yourself in the mirror for the first time, you think, that's still me, but it's a cleaner, fitter version of me. Yeah. Do you see what I mean?
I kind of see what you mean. I think what he's trying to say perhaps is that whilst it doesn't look radically different at first glance to the previous model, when you get the old car next to it, it suddenly looks fussy and overcomplicated.
Yeah, that's better put.
Much better put.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
This new body is covering up something that's even newer, the platform. It's called Premium Transverse Architecture, if you really want to know, and it's a heavy update of the old Evoque's platform. What's important though is not the name, but the fact it takes up the same amount of space on the road, but allows more interior space and for mild hybrid and plug-in hybrid powertrains.
Now you'll really notice the difference from old Evoque to new Evoque when you get inside, because everything has improved. Firstly, the quality. Everything you touch feels really lovely indeed. Lovely plastics, nice stitching, lovely leathers. We'll come on to the leather seats in a minute because I need to talk to you about that. But another reason why you'll notice the difference is the tech. Now the tech has been improved in here. It takes things from the Velar, which we first saw in that car, like these two screens. You've got the upper screen, which has got the Touch Pro system, which we've been familiar with for a very long time. Now it's a lot crisper. You get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. On SE models and above, you get this lower screen as well. Lots of different functions. You've got physical controls as well, which is really very nice indeed. Remember I mentioned leather seats, where you can have full leather like we've got here, but you can also go for a vegan-friendly eucalyptus fabric as well, or you can go for a wool blend like you can in the Velar. So there's lots of different ways you can personalise the interior. Another key difference is the trigger gear selector here. In the old car you got the rotary knob. That's slowly being phased out on all Jaguars and Land Rovers. Storage wise, well, there's you can remove this little tray. You've got a couple of cup holders. There's a place down here you can store your phone, you can charge it up. Good sized door bins. Glove box is a really good size as well. Another thing I really like is down here. You can store your mobile phone on that side and on this side as well. And there's another storage area there as well. Two really cool features I really like about this car is the clear view tech, which effectively makes the bonnet invisible. So when you're going off road, you can see where all the rocks and the boulders are. And also the rear view mirror, because if you flick it, it changes from a conventional mirror to a camera. Oh God.
Hi. Is it my turn now? You've been in there such a long time. You do go on a bit.
I thought she'd gone.
Because if it's okay, I'd quite like to tell everyone about the boot. Now, this is a compact SUV, so of course you're not going to get huge amounts of space in here, but it's actually a 20% increase in size over the previous model. And it's also very practical too. You've got little compartments and areas for storing things. There's a power outlet, along with another compartment just under there.
Trim-wise, well, the equipment list is vast, so click the banner in the top right-hand corner to learn more. But to give you an idea, the standard Evoque gets auto LED headlights, flush door handles, 17 or 18-inch alloys, a heated windscreen plus dual-zone climate control, a 10-inch infotainment system, front and rear parking assistance, and a rear-view camera. S models get leather, and finally Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and they also get extra safety kit. SE gets the dual screens and HSE gets plusher leather seats. You can tick the R Dynamic pack on all models for £1,500 with its extra sporty styling. And then there's this, the all singing and dancing first edition, that's only available for a short time after launch.
Now the new Evoque is the same size as the old one on the outside, but the wheelbase is a little bit longer, and that really benefits space in the back. Now knee room, that's pretty good. That seat is set up in my sort of passenger driving position. That's I'm about 5'10.5". Really good knee room. Headroom's pretty good, even though we've got this panoramic roof, still pretty good.
You've got, of course, because this will be a family car for many people, ISOFIX child seat points, as you would expect on the outer seats. The question is though, would you get 3 across the back here? Well, actually, it's not too bad down there because there's not much of a transmission tunnel. Shoulder-wise, yeah, I think 3 is not bad at all.
But if you need more space, you're going to have to go for a Volvo XC40 or an Audi Q3.
So the Evoque is slightly larger inside and has a far more luxurious and modern interior. But what's it like on the road?
Right, engines. So let's try and keep this as simple as possible, shall we? There are
Good luck with
3.
that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give it a go if you let me. There are 3 2-litre petrols. There's a P200 with 197 brake horsepower. There's a P250 with 247 brake horsepower, and a P300 with 296 brake horsepower. Now they all have 4-wheel drive and they all have a 9-speed automatic gearbox. Now they all return around 30 mpg, which isn't brilliant really. I'd actually go for the P250 because that emits 180 grams per kilometre of CO2, which is really is about what the other 2 produce. So if you're going to go for petrol, go for the P250. Got that?
I nodded off in the middle of that.
So, all right, okay
It's
then.
a lot,
You
isn't
talk
it?
about the diesels
Okay.
then. Go on then.
Let me cover the rest, because as divisive as diesels are, it's still a choice for many drivers, isn't it, when it comes to SUVs, especially if you're doing big mileage and you're also going to use them for towing and stuff like that. Like the petrols, there is a choice of 3.
You can try and keep this simple, aren't you?
Oh, your view, you're the numbers man. Tell them about the diesels.
I thought you were doing this bit.
Oh no.
Right, okay, so we've got a D150, which is front-wheel drive and comes as a 6-speed manual or as a 9-speed automatic. Then there's a D180 with 178 brake horsepower, a 9-speed automatic and 4-wheel drive. And then right at the top, there's a D240 with 237 brake horsepower, a 9-speed automatic gearbox, and it's a twin turbo, so it's got some extra punch.
Okay, so that's the petrol and the diesel covered off. Now, remember we said that the Evoque's new platform allows for some electrification? Well, all bar the entry-level front-wheel drive manual D150 2-litre diesel come as standard with some mild hybrid. Now that means that there's a 48-volt starter generator system that allows the car to cut out its engine completely when it goes below 11 miles per hour, which improves the fuel economy, and it helps to smooth out any judder when it's fired back up again. It works quite well, doesn't it?
It does work very nicely. We've got it here because we've got a D180, and around town it cuts off nicely. When you're accelerating hard, it just smooths out the diesel's inherent sort of clatter.
Yeah, it does.
It works nicely.
There is a but with it though. Should I tell them about the but?
Tell them about the bus.
Yes, there's a but. Now you would expect a car like this at launch to be available with a plug-in hybrid, wouldn't you? But no, it's not. That's not coming until later.
Well, later this year.
Late in 2019.
I mean, come on,
I know.
Land Rover.
So the first generation Evoque sold around 800,000 cars around the
Yeah.
world. 3/4 of those went to people living in urban areas. So it just seems that Land Rover have dropped a bit of a ball with this one, and I would have expected the plug-in hybrid
It's a shame
to be
really,
available
because
now.
it would be, I think it's going to be a bit of a treat, the plug-in hybrid, and it's the type of technology that people want these days. So you're launching a brand new model, petrol and then have to wait for that type of powertrain is a bit of a disappointment.
So that's all the engines covered off. Let's talk about how it drives. And we've both been quite impressed with it, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
JLR have tried to engineer some differences between the Jaguar E-Pace and this. The Jaguar is more involving to drive sharper steering, the chassis feels more agile. This, they've tried to emphasise sort of the qualities you'd expect from a Range Rover. So they've really focused on comfort. It's a lot more refined than the Jaguar. You turn this car into a corner, the steering's not quite as sharp, there's a bit more body roll, but that's absolutely fine, I'm fine with that. This car's got adaptive dampers as well. Now the standard car, obviously you get standard suspension. This, we've got adaptive dampers.
It's got bigger wheels on it.
It's got bigger wheels on it as well.
That doesn't really impact on the ride.
No, it doesn't at all. And I think if you do go for the big wheels, you've got to go for the adaptive dampers. And it really cushions out the ride. It rides really well, this car, actually.
And from my perspective now, I've enjoyed driving it. I found the steering's just nice and precise, got a nice balance. But sitting in the passenger seat, it's just really comfortable, feels very refined. I would say there was a little bit too much noise for me at low speeds.
Yeah.
Once you open this engine up and you're on the motorway, it quietens down a lot, just pootling around these lovely country lanes.
I mean, look,
it's a bit noisy.
An example here, I'll put my foot on the throttle and once the gearbox has woken up,
yeah, it does.
There we are.
And the gearbox does take,
noisy.
and the gearbox takes a while to wake up.
That is one thing I wanted to talk about, this gearbox. So, whilst this new gear lever may be new, the gearbox isn't. It's a 9-speed auto. It's fine. It does its job perfectly acceptably, but it's just acceptable at best. You find that when you're accelerating, like we just did there, it takes a bit of a time to change down, and when it does, it changes down too many gears. And I don't know. It's just
it's not that bad.
It's not terrible. It's just it could be better.
Well, it is. I think you're being very picky, if I'm honest. But you are picky. That's what we love about you.
Of course, this is a car with a Land Rover heritage and it has to do everything you expect from that brand. And you won't be disappointed. Wading depth has increased to 600mm, 100mm more than the old car's figure. When it was launched, I put this to the test by driving it through a swimming pool. Today, I decided to drive it through a muddy river instead. Another handy piece of kit is Terrain Response 2, which means the car can read the road surface beneath its wheels and feed the information onto a screen in the cabin. It decides the most appropriate setting from the 4 modes: comfort, sand, grass, gravel, snow or mud and ruts, which of course is what we're using here. Clear Sight Ground View is another piece of kit which will also help you when the going gets tough. Of course, as I've said, it has all this because of that Land Rover heritage. The reality is that many owners won't do any of the things that you can see us doing today. It's almost a little over-engineered for its class, but it does mean, though, that absolutely nothing can touch it across rough terrain. It's easy to come up with a one-hit wonder, but never quite get there again. However, Range Rover hasn't fallen into that trap with the new Evoque.
It now looks and feels both inside and out like a proper Range Rover. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you watch our Jaguar E-Pace review and our SUVs playlist. Make sure you press the Carbuyer logo to subscribe to the channel, and as ever, thanks for watching.